And like, as soon as you log in, you've gray screened, and like there's a timer. It ain't like we have all kinds of time. We've got 30 minutes to beat this Joker, and
you
like,
can't twiddle your thumbs in the boss fight.
You just lost 7 minutes, pal, and like,
and there we are. Attack! Trying to whistle the tape. Anyways.
I think I whistled everything but Dixie in that game, I'm pretty sure. Oh my God, I'm going to pass out now from laughing.
Huh?
This is we go for throttle up over here.
It's a beautiful Saturday. Nice and, we got a nice and partly cloudy one down here with a intense humidity level, making things real nice and sticky. How you doing up there, Chuck?
It's a little hot here. Today's a inside day. I've been at it all week in the heat. So, yeah, but it's probably in the 80s here and kind of humid.
Yeah, it's the humidity for me that really makes the difference. Like right now, I have the air conditioning going, and it's like real nice. It's nice and cool here inside. And you look out the window, and it's just like, oh, it looks so lovely out there. Like it's just a nice sunny day, not too hot. And then you step outside, and it's just like, oh, you feel it up in your armpits and in your bones and up in your nose holes, and it's just like, damn, man, you're not even necessarily in the sunlight yet. You're still in the shade, and you can feel it hit you just like a wave. It's like, nah, I'm gonna go back inside.
God, you're so right. The pits, man. When we'd be down in Florida with the Forest Service and people'd say they were too hot, that's the treatment, is they'd take cold water bottles and put them under your armpits, and then they'd put one in your crotch.
Can I get 3 of those cold water bottles, please?
Yeah. And it just sucks all the way around. All of those things, dude. And like it's just soon be hot.
I could see you walking into one of those small highway gas stations. You and all your crew walking in. So all you boys need 3 bottles precisely, huh? We're not going to explain this one, ma'am. Yeah. So,
exactly.
Man. And speaking of. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oh man. Speaking of frustrations, game crashes. Where to begin?
That's the topic.
Man, we've. I think this is something that all gamers struggle with from the dawn of gaming up to date. No one can get away from it, and we've particularly been getting crashed a bunch lately. So we figured we had to unpack this one and talk about it a little bit and just vent our frustrations here with our fellow gamers.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh, Chuck, dude, putting you on the spot. Welcome the Gamers for us, would you?
Oh yeah. I don't even have that thing up here anywhere. Let's see. We want to
You don't
welcome
remember it?
gamers, non-gamers, PvPers, PvEers, and even NPCs to the New Wave Gaming Podcast. I'm ChukTomahawk, and my co-host here is
Ovox.
Yeah, that's pretty good from memory, I feel like. Yeah.
That's it, man. Yeah, we don't discriminate.
That's right. We don't discriminate.
Yeah.
We're waiting.
Did you mention the NPCs?
Even
NPCs. Yeah,
that's right.
You did.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that AI to kick, that GPT AI to kick in on them NPCs.
Yeah, I think they're working on stuff like that.
Yeah.
Maybe they can get the AI to help them stop putting games out that crash so much.
No doubt. Let me ask this NPC here.
ChatGTP, can you just show us the path to a game with no crashes, please, on all platforms?
Yeah, we're getting ready to do this boss fight there, Charles. Could you tell us what the percentage of chance of the game crashing in the next 30 to 40 minutes might be?
Yeah, on all of us at the same time. Okay. So
I see you're asking for. Why has an NPC always got some kind of weird movement going on? Like somewhere in a game, it was decided at some point that standing still just was weird or something. You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they got to do what they can work. You know, you got to work with what you got, I suppose.
Even the guy in GTA standing still, he's kind of like...
Yeah. Yeah, and if you pull a gun out, they'll make that weird like hands in the air kind of and they'll just repeat it and it looks creepy. Which those could all be worthy topics for future podcasts talking about stuff like that. Particularly the NPC thing and NPC movements, because there's some funny material there that I'm sure we could make an episode around. But
right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Tell everyone, Chuck, why we wanted to talk about game crashes.
We had like the worst crash ever. Like it honestly, it would take a while to explain, and if people will just bear with me here for a minute, I'll get the necessary details out there. And the thing is that we were getting ready to do a boss fight in Ark, and to do a boss fight in Ark, you got to collect a few items first. Like there are 3 to 4 artifacts, which are something you're going to have to go through a long cave, typically filled with spiders and different things you're going to have to fight. And you pull this artifact out of there. You select, so there's about 4 days worth of work to get your artifacts. And then you got some tribute.
At our rhythm, at our pace.
Yeah, and then... you also got to build up just a variety of other little tributes of creatures that you've killed, and you got to tame up some dinos and get the gear to fight the boss fight, kind of study up on how it works and everything. And then you go into sort of this arena mode where we go to a place where we're going to load in to fight the boss. And, it's in the back of your mind that it could happen to one of us, that the game could crash and the other one be, having to fight that boss fight alone. But what happened to us is that it crashed for both of us. So instantly, as we were loading into the boss fight, the game, what we call gray screened us. It sent us this screen that has nothing to do with playing the game, that just says your game has crashed. And there's a button that says you have to, is like, do you want to accept and report this? and instantly,
like, what else am I fucking gonna
do? The tames, the artifacts I just described, all that tribute, everything that was on our bodies is just instantly gone and into space. And not to mention that, it's kind of like a kid, like telling a kid, hey, you want an ice cream cone? And getting an ice cream cone out, putting it in front of the kid, and then throwing it off a cliff or something.
Yeah, or letting it get into his hands and then just slapping it out of his hands onto the ground while watching it go. Yeah. I'd even say it's more like that. It's like putting the ice cream cone in the kid's hand. It's approaching his mouth. The excitement is on his face, and then just going,
tough break, kid.
Suck it. In Spanish, we'd be like, toma, perro. Puta madre.
So you go from a place where you're getting ready to do a thing that you've been preparing to do, have a fun time with your friend that you enjoy this game with, literally been preparing for. Like we
set time apart for.
Yeah. Yeah, penciled into your calendar.
Yeah.
And game crashes. Everything gone.
And I just want to throw in some extra context on Chuck's very great explanation of the losses here, but just going back to the getting the artifacts part. Those caves a lot of the caves are very challenging, especially when you're trying to do it not in a primitive plus way, but you're just trying to take your time with the game and do it how it's meant to be done. We've been trying to play Ark the way it's meant to be played, in a more paced way. I don't know the right way to describe it. Don't want to waste time on that. But the point is getting those artifacts is a real challenge. And there were losses, there were frustrations, there were. We got lost in a couple of those caves to the point of nearly losing our minds
and
on
this
aberration.
Is while doing cheating adjacent things to get there. Like if we had literally just gone into these artifact caves blind without watching a video before, like you're talking, it might take you 6 months to come up with these artifacts would be my estimate. But
is that your estimate? Right? 6 months. You heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. Forget all the YouTube tutorials. 6 months is what you're looking at. Go prepared. Take shotgun shells.
Yeah, but even prepared, it's as you're describing, like lots of frustrations and deaths and things are not going your way.
It wasn't like in that one cave, man, because I got lost so bad, and it was late and we were tired, and I don't know, I just was frustrated. But at one point, you were like, "Wait a minute, why don't you use the video we used to get in to get out?" And I was just like, "Well, son of a bitch!" And he pulled out the video, man. And thank you, Nooblets.
Oh yeah.
And got out of that bad boy. But the point is those caves are a frustration. And then you got to get the tribute items, which are like going off and killing certain tames that drop certain loot that you get. And basically, it just takes time to collect all these things. And then you have to go to a specific point on the map, which is to a drop or a transmitter or an obelisk. Those are the only points from which you can access a boss arena, which is a whole challenge in itself. That's another topic. We don't need to talk about bosses and how frustrating boss fights can be. But yeah, so we get to this point to enter the boss fight. Extremely excited because it's the first boss fight we were going to do on this run of Ark. And man, yeah, we just get to it, load up all the stuff, activate the transmitter, and it starts loading it up. And then right when it does anyone that plays Ark knows this, but there's the point when the countdown stops and it kind of just goes... And it made that sound, and it went. Gray screen comes out, and Chuck and I literally at the same time. Fuck! I got gray screen.
Oh, shit!
Shit! I got gray screen. And gray screen is the same as blue screen, but on the PS5, right? On the PS4, it was blue screen. On the PS5, it's a gray screen. Literally the same thing comes up, the same accept and report, and I mean. The feelings were rough. We were both super pissed off and bummed, and we loaded back in. And of course, the Ark, as it's an online game with online servers, and it doesn't actually stop. Our characters were still there in the arena fighting the boss. We just were effectively AFK, and everything died and got killed, and we lost everything. Even if man. So that's why we wanted to talk about this frustrating topic of video game crashes. And man, in looking up videos and reflecting on my own gaming experiences with crashes, Ark has been some of the more frustrating crashes because it seems like it's just a pandemic for the game right now. On PS5 at least, it's been crashing hard. And I don't know if that's because we're on a specific cluster. I don't know if it's because it's a PS5 thing and or it's due to a recent update that made it worse, but I don't remember it ever being this bad on the PS4, and it was bad on the PS4. But anyways, turns out a lot of people are frustrated with game crashes, and there's a lot of interesting little tidbits of stories out there.
Yeah. I felt like for me, one thing I noticed as I started to research it, first of all, it's hard to research because when you put the word crash in, you're going to get things about the video game crash of 1983.
Dude, that's so true. I noticed that.
Yeah, so
we've covered that
thing
enough.
like where you can like minus things you don't want in your searches. Like you can put minus 1983, and even then you're still getting it. So it's a little hard to get, but what I will say is like I feel like the stakes have gotten higher over the lifetime of video games. It went from wasting my quarter because, which one observation I remember thinking as soon as I thought of arcade games, I don't ever remember seeing an arcade game crash, which makes me think there must be some almost like I think when they're making a game, there's an acceptable level of volatility in it, and I think it's the acceptable level in an arcade cabinet is way less than what would be in say a console type version. But you had a short game, and you might be fighting your way to the boss there in the early stages of video games. But now it's like the things we described, we had days worth of work into, not just what we've been working on that day, or
not that
just
10-minute quarter run on the arcade cabinet.
Yeah, not that we just missed out on some stuff, and also the stakes I think are there as well. It's like we needed to do that boss fight to move forward in the game, like to become, to get the tech that comes from it and things. There's also the loss of that. Like we weren't just doing it for fun. We had a goal in mind, from doing that, and I think again, just as you're looking back, one of the nuances is that the stakes are so much more incredibly high. And I tried to also think, like, when did I first ever run into something crashing? Do you remember that? Like
that's what I was gonna say. Let's go back in time. Let's get into the video game time machine and first, like you mentioned something. I do have some recollections, but you mentioned like the volatility toleration level, or like game crash, like, or a game bug or game breakdown toleration level. And I don't know if, sorry, there probably was and certainly is now, but I wonder how much the technology really impacts the difference between crashes back then and crashes now, because the engines have changed tremendously from like back in the from the late 70s, 80s up to the 90s, like when Doom and Quake were coming out. They were on, those guys like at id Software, John Romero and Carmack and them, they were creating engines, like real engines, like of the first, iterations and stuff. And before them, we were talking like arcade coin-op, the first generations of consoles, and I think just the technology inside those boxes across the board were very different. And I think today, and just looking at PCs and the fact that they use drives and RAM and GPUs and CPUs and all these different things that have to coalesce and operate at peak performance like a well-oiled machine and everything. It just provides for crashes much more easily than those more simple technology back in the day. It's kind of like the argument of that, an old truck with a carburetor, is always going to be easy to fix and always going to be old reliable, like an old Toyota pickup or something. Just those simple motors, reliable, that'll never break down, never crash. As long as you just give them a little bit of love and care, they'll always keep running. Versus like a new aged, super electronic, computer that uses all these chips and things and so on and so forth. It's far easier for a vehicle like that to crash in a video gaming sense, to break down, to require maintenance and so on and so forth. Blah blah blah. Anyways. Yeah. So I think, looking back, the technology had a big impact on that. And it's not to say that they didn't crash back then. I just think that a quote-unquote crash while playing it manifested itself in different ways. Mm-hmm. And this could have been anything from accidentally bumping the cartridge or not putting it in quite correctly so that it like weird, bugs out in the middle, like the screen gets all, messed up and crashes on you, which I have memories of. Or, I didn't live this, but I'm sure many households, families, a video game crash could have manifested in the form of a sibling just being really pissed off and running up and pulling the cable out from the cable out from the wall.
Yeah.
It's my turn to watch TV. Click the button, damn it. So, because if you think about it, if you go back and you think of like, I don't know, I'm thinking like Mario Bros. And Duck Hunt. They came on that cartridge. We had situations where you'd put the cartridge in and it wouldn't play, and hence the blowing on the cartridge and that whole topic. But once you got it playing, you weren't going to it wasn't going to crash.
That's true.
It'd be very, very rarely like maybe a you're playing and the screen freezes or bugs out, because remember there were also different types of TVs back then. They'd get the weird pixelation going. I remember the weird, I don't know how to describe it, but so that would occur very rarely. Very, very rarely.
I agree, and I wonder if, like, I feel like what's going to make us remember the crash that we described in Ark is the consequences, the things that we lost. And I just wonder if it didn't do that some, and it maybe just didn't register, because I will say, like, if I'm playing Donkey Kong, at times it was about getting as far as I could, but mostly the playing of it, like, sort of began, the enjoyment, the core enjoyment didn't have a lot to do with, like, I just don't feel like I had a lot to lose. Like, I might have a good run going where I've cleared the first 2 maps without losing a man, and I'd hate for it to stop now, and mess up somehow. But I just feel like that's about as bad as it could be. If something did happen, I'd just start over. As long as it, I didn't have, as long as it would start and I didn't have to blow in the cartridge a bunch to get it to work. I mean, essentially it was working to me. I agree with you. My memory is that it never crashed once it got going, but I wonder if it did, and I just don't remember it, or.
It surely did, man. Like, every now and again, like, very rarely. And it would have been because of an accidental bump or just dust on the cartridge reader thing, on the little metal teeth that they have. I don't know. Anything very rare, like, but never just like, because of the game itself or because of the tech or because of the loading, like where you're loading into another part of the map and it's rendering and it just beep crashes. That stuff. Yeah. And I think it's because of the and I'm speculating here. I have no idea for sure. And I could very well be wrong, but I think it's because of the random access memory. The RAM. It has to access that memory and put up that in the case of loading a new part of the map or a new area, it has to access that memory and put it up on the engine. The engine has to put it up and render it. So with old games, all that stuff was on the cartridge. It didn't have to do that, like, oh, now I got to look for this file and access it and render it and put it up at the end. No. It was already there. Mm-hmm. It wasn't, at least that's what, I think that was the case. So, yeah, man. And again, this is like our Ark experience, and Ark is a very unique situation because of the fact that it's an online server and the stuff that you work for can, goes away if you don't use it. And if you don't, so on and so forth. So, we've really covered that one. But that's why I think it was so hard and painful, because we lost all of the stuff and all of the time it took to get it. The excitement was completely just bat down, and we weren't able to advance because, as you mentioned, in Ark particularly, you have to unlock engrams and ascend and build your character that way, so on and so forth. What about games like, Warzone and role-playing games like Witcher or like Call of Duty and campaign mode, stuff like that? It's a little different. It's actually kind of like a quasi middle of, like, if the game crashes while you're playing something like that, it sucks and it can really, like, be at a bad moment, but you're not really, like, losing anything. It's kind of like a Donkey Kong situation. You just start the level over again and you get the stuff back. You got to do it again.
Have you ever noticed
you know what I mean?
The words we use are different when that happens. The language that we use, you typically say you got kicked from Warzone, and instead of it crashing. I'm not saying you don't say that it crashed ever, but it's almost like I don't feel like I've lost anything. I just feel like I've been kicked out of the party, essentially.
Well, getting kicked out of the party is one thing, but for the game to crash in gray screen in Warzone, it doesn't happen as often.
Yeah, I don't
and when
ever
it does
remember
happen,
it happening. I do remember it freezing up a time or two, but
Yeah.
I don't ever remember getting like a blue or gray screen. And my thought is both like sort of metaphorically and literally, you're kicked out of the party, but you're kicked out of the fun party too. It's like you guys, especially if it's just you that got kicked. because then everybody's on the
Like,
map.
well, what the hell?
They've all waited through that,
Oh, yeah.
that terribly long waiting period, and it's kind of like they're faced with the choice of coming back to get you in the lobby.
Yeah.
Versus, and there's a lot of versions of that too, so
Man.
it's like let's just play aggressive. Like so just reloading right away. But yeah, I feel like almost like these larger open world kind of lean toward the crashing, because I heard a lot of people talk about Fallout games like Fallout 76 crashing a good amount, and
all those Bethesda games, man. In fact, I mean, you saw that video where they were talking about like I think it was like 6 examples of some of the worst video game crashes that folks have experienced in the gaming world.
Ranks video.
Dating back to I mean, I'm sure there's way more examples, but they kind of touched on 6 in that Game Ranks video. The first 2 were the gnarliest. The first 2 and then the last one. The first one was a Bungie game called Myth, and the one that was crashed a bunch was Myth 2. So it was it was the sequel, and this is pre Halo days. And Myth 2, I guess, was like a real-time strategy game, But you remember them mentioning that one?
I don't remember.
It would effectively, like, if you uninstalled it, it would completely delete your C drive.
And if you'd put it in your root drive, it
would delete it.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Now that's the thing. Like,
That's
and not a lot of
level,
people.
dude.
Can you? I mean, we were frustrated about losing our fake video game in-world shit. Can you imagine like losing your C drive on your computer back then? And remember, this is back in this is Myth 2 days, dude. This is in the 90s, man. Computers were not. I mean, they're not inexpensive today, but a computer back in the day was like a real huge investment for a family.
Relatively, for sure. And
oh man, and they were not all over the country like they are now. Like everyone has a laptop. No, not back then, man. And the thing is like for that crash to happen, you would have had to have installed it at the root level, which is something that most people don't do. But some people did do that. And upon installing it, like in C drive at the root level, if you'd uninstall it, it would go and wipe the whole C drive. So that's
dangerous code that's in there for sure. It's almost like I feel like like we talked about the arcade cabinet, you're going to lose a quarter. The console, you might lose to the fact we did, but on your computer, like all of a sudden, I mean, you might have your stuff from work on there, for goodness sake, or like you might lose your job.
Where's that memo, Ken?
It's like you're never gonna believe
this. How do I explain? Where do I begin?
Because it almost seems like at the computer the stakes are up, because I feel like the modding is much more prevalent on there, and I think it's one thing that leads to crashes. And you mentioned that sort of the lack of RAM in the video console situation, and there's always been a part of my mind that felt like a crash was a little bit like a fuse in an electrical system, that maybe it crashes because that's going to lead to something that maybe burns up a capacitor or something, and I'm just sort of spitballing here, like I don't know these things, but that's what I've thought in the past. But as I was kind of researching for this, I found a glitch, a video about a glitch in one of the Super Mario 3D games, where the guy, he kind of goes and he comes upon this NPC, and something about walking under this NPC causes it to shrink just a little bit, like almost as an animation, not necessarily like a shrinking of it, but it just like visually caused it to shrink a little bit. And he found that if you went right under it and kind of moved back and forth, it continued to shrink, and you could take this character that was your size in the game and make it really small. And if you continued, it began to have a negative value. And he continued, and it basically, which turned it upside down. And then And then like he continued and continued until it was gigantic. Like it was bigger than the open world essentially. And he showed this thing like where he said, so then when the game tries to render it, it has a negative integer at this point, and it tries to calculate that, and it causes the game to crash. It was more like something just did not compute, like the set of rules that you had given the computer about how math worked, like were broken, and that was incredibly important to how that was supposed to look, and it crashed the game. So that didn't go with my theory about it, being more like a fuse of sorts. It was almost like it went outside its sandbox, and so yeah, I think there's a variety of reasons, but it's like if you go to our situation in the boss fight, I tell you, that hurt me bad. And we had another boss. We had a successful boss fight after that, and then we had a loss recently, and it's kind of been on my mind a little bit, just thinking about why does it work the way it does. And I got to thinking that, like, they have to make it super easy for you to get back into that boss fight, because I bet people would, like, if it started going bad, they would maybe get out on purpose or something. Like I tried to think about, like, why is it the way it is, and those kinds of reasons, and that was about the best I could come up with. Like in our situation where we both gray screened, like, dude, that was just unreparable.
It was heartbreaking. Yeah, it was hard. It was a hard one. But man, nothing compared to like losing your C drive or that other one that, like, when I guess they released, I don't remember what year, but they released an expansion for EVE Online. And if basically, like, I don't remember the scenario, but if you did, basically it would, like, delete your INI boot file, and that's literally the file that turns that boots your computer. So, like, I'm just saying, can you imagine, like, those kinds of crashes, man, where you're all excited for this new update on your favorite game, and then you install it and something happens where it deletes the boot file, and now you literally can't even turn your computer on? That's something else, man. Dude, another one that I thought was crazy, and I thought, man, this is worse than what happened to us. But then in retrospect, I don't think it is worse, because, I mean, you just basically, you'll see what I mean, but in that same video, they mentioned a game called Anthem that came out, I think, on the PS4. No, I think it may have been the PS3 or PS4. I'm leaning towards PS3. Doesn't matter. Point is like they released like a patch or something, or they did something that, like, the game would, like, you'd be loading first to play something, and the game would crash on your PS4, but it wouldn't blue screen you, or yeah, on the PS3 it was also a blue screen. I think so it wouldn't blue screen you. It would literally just completely, like, cut the power to your system. It'd just be like lights out, and it'd be like, whoa, full shutdown. I mean, like that. Like, can you imagine that happening to you the first couple of times? It's probably scare the shit out of you.
Oh yeah, dude.
Like, what the. Because, like, it'd be a full shutdown, and then the thing would come up where it said your PlayStation was turned off improperly, and it's just like, what? Can you imagine that from a?
These, like, remind me of like whenever I was a kid using something of my dad's, like, something we could, like, especially without his permission, and stuff starts going awry. You're like,
dude,
oh no,
what did I just do? Like, and there were cases, I guess, where it would, like, it would be so bad that the PlayStation would just not turn back on. And I could see that really freaking out some people, like the potential loss of a PlayStation because you got this game. That's one hell of a crash. I mean, dang, man. There's a bunch of other
I've
examples.
Experienced that. I forget the game, but I had what they call the Ring of Death on the Xbox.
Oh God, yeah.
And I sent it in, and they fixed it, and for free or whatever. But it apparently happened a lot. Yeah.
Dude, it's the red ring of death is infamous on the Xbox. Yeah, I remember that.
I think
that
it was
era.
the 360. Yeah,
I remember that era. Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Hey, how about those were some insane crash stories that I heard and just really brought perspective. But did you happen to come across any of the speedrunners that would crash, like their games would crash while speed running a game. Did you see any of those, dude? Oh, man, I should have sent some to you. They're hilarious, man.
People just on a good run and just losing
fucking
their
losing
shit.
it, man. Yeah, like, and a lot of Mario 64, a lot of older games, a bunch of like games that are older, and you'll completely recognize them. And you'll see the screen. Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, a lot of those older games. People just trying to beat the game as fast as they can and beat world records. And you'll see like the game playing. You'll see the person's face, guy or girl, at the bottom in the little corner. And then you'll see the records and their time while it's going. It'll be counting. And they'll just be going, man. Oh yeah, and some of them are talking with their streamers. They're just interacting. Some of them are just quiet, so on. And then you'll see the game freeze or blue screen or whatever iteration of crash that it may be. And then some of them will just go like, and they're just like looking at, obviously you guys can't see this, but they'll just like completely freeze and start looking around with a face of a ghost, just completely baffled. And then they'll just like, some of them will just be quiet and then just be like, what the fuck? Just like, it's like total quietness, and then just boom, explode. Some of them freak out, dude. Some of them just start smashing shit. It's so funny. Oh God. And I get it, I would never react like that, but if you're about to beat a world record and it crashes, or whatever. Oh God, man.
I feel like there's like this, they're like stages of the crash. Like you know what I mean? I mean, it's kind of like the first of like, what's happening? This is weird, and then there's like, did it crash? And then
acceptance.
Then there's like a processing that has. Then you're like it realizes it's crashed, and then there's like a few things that immediately compute to you. Like, oh, we don't get to ascend now. We didn't get to do the boss fight, and then like the processing, like you think you've processed the worst of it, but then later on you're like, oh, I have my favorite shotgun with me.
Oh, my flak is gone. Oh, fuck, my tames. Oh, my tames. Oh, fuck that. My. Yeah. Oh.
That's why I feel like with the speed run, like, that processing is fairly short. Like, you're like, I didn't make it. Darn that. This is going to be weird in my stream. And then it's over. But with Ark, it's like 2 days later, I'm like, so I still had those freaking hormones from that rhino gathia on me. No. Like, why did I take those in there? Like,
I didn't even need those.
Which is true, by the way.
Yeah, because sometimes you feel like you've beat the game, you're just dominating, So you're like, I don't need to get rid of all this stuff. I'll just take it to the boss fight with me. It's gonna be fine. We're gonna win this one. No sweat.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. Double insta crash. Gray screen. Your fault.
Snap.
Oh man.
Yeah,
it still hurts.
I feel like we always in the moment, like, you're just kind of like, yeah, darn, that sucks, like kind of just try to, pretend like we're okay with it and move on. But like for me, it's like,
you'll walk away from it for a couple days.
Yeah,
like, fuck this game.
Yeah,
to hell with Wildcard. To hell with whoever developed the game that crashed that you were enjoying.
Yeah. Yeah, I found myself in that mind frame. Like I've been incredibly resilient to that in Ark, and I think that's something we should bring up. I think it's
you're a resilient, positive, optimistic person.
But I will say, I feel like a game being infamous for crashing in itself is a mark against the game, but it also, if it does that and still exists and still has a passionate fan base, it says a lot about how good the game is. Because
that's 100% true, man.
Yeah.
God damn it! And we were just playing Ark. Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
I admit that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, by the way, we admit we were just playing Ark. all said and done.
Yep. Gonna get those
You're right.
artifacts again. We don't mind. We know where they are now.
Hey, first thing I said, hey, Chuck, I'm raising some new Rexes for the boss fight.
Yeah. I think one of the first things you said is like, oh, it'll be easy. We'll get those artifacts again. We know where it's at. We know where they are. Like you know, and I was just thinking, no, I don't remember. You know,
You're
just,
like, no, it's getting stuck.
yeah, it's gonna suck. It's exactly what it's gonna do. Because I had already done it once, and I could have just won the first time and not had to done all this. Yeah, that's frustrating.
Oh, gosh.
But
We've been having luck.
Oh,
we did find out on that last one, though, that just for any ARC players out there, if you're going into a boss fight with more than you're not alone, you have any people with you, as long as one of you make it through, the other people can load back in, and they'll load back into the boss fight. They won't like load back in base or on the main map and have to choose a bed. They lost everything. Oh, can you get my stuff? Try to beat the boss. No. If the one person's in there and there's time, you can load right back in and you'll go into the boss fight. Proven, tested. We figured that out yesterday.
Yep.
Why? Because it fucking crashed on Chuck T going into a boss fight. Fuck.
No. It crashed. You're like, your body's here sleeping.
Why am I sleeping in a boss
as
fight?
fast as you can. Oh my Lord.
Oh God. Yeah. There's a lot of emotion in this one.
Well, I think one of the things it is a war. I mean, and one of the things they say about war, the first thing to die in any battle is the plan. And like, you know, as soon as you log in, you've gray screened, and like there's a timer. It ain't like we have all kinds of time. We've got 30 minutes to beat this Joker, and
you
like
can't twiddle your thumbs in the boss fight.
You just lost 7 minutes, pal, and like.
And there we are. Attack! Trying to whistle. Anyways.
I think I whistled everything but Dixie in that game. I'm pretty sure. Oh my God, I'm gonna pass out now from laughing. Great day.
Breathe.
Imagine
take a med brew. Get this man a med brew.
I never took my cactus broth. I don't think. I don't remember taking it. If I did, maybe I did. But I remember us talking about it, like you saying, "Let's take it now." But I think something went wrong.
Right over.
Yeah, I whistled it in.
Yeah, let me whistle that advice right over my head.
Attack my target.
Oh God, man. Jeez. We should probably just create an ARC podcast at this point. Anyways,
yeah, but like what we're describing, folks, is we're literally trying to control Tyrannosaurus Rexes by whistle. Essentially, what you can imagine should be hard. Like I would imagine, my dog won't even listen to me. So I tell him to sit down, so you can imagine.
Oh man,
but yeah. Tough.
There was something else I wanted to bring up about game crashing. And we got the speedrunners, man. They have it the worst, getting those world records, broken dreams right there. ARC has always been our frustration. And, like, it's just been crashing bad lately. It's just like, could we mention the boss thing? That's one thing. But the game has just been crash after crash after crash. Like when you're transferring maps, it crashes. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
One thing I think we should point out that I think about is like in ARC, it's literally become a part of how we play the game. Like we like when we were going down in to get those rock drake eggs at some point, we went slower than we normally would to give things time to render. Like at times, like I was flying yesterday in a cave that had lava in the bottom there in the scar on the Ragnarok, and I consciously thought, like, get over to the side, dude. What the hell are you doing? Like, I mean, if this thing crashes right now, your dragon's going to go in the, just little things like that are in the back of my mind all the time. Like what if it crashes now? And
that's just how bad it's been, though.
Yeah,
it is, because it's been. I mean, games like we're buying a product ultimately, and I know it's not that simple. It's more complicated than that, but there's got to be a minimum level of quality, you know. And I don't know if it's the PlayStation 5. I don't know if it's Arc or with other games. I don't know what it is that makes these things crash. I'm sure the internet has to. Well, when the internet crashes a game, it's usually because of like a timeout or connection loss timeout type of thing. But that's still a crash. But what we've been experiencing is something related to either the console or the game itself. And this happens with all sorts of games. I mean, I've been playing. There's plenty of games that I play that'll crash, and it sucks. It always sucks. Especially if you're recording or you're trying to achieve a goal, to complete a mission, to reach a checkpoint. You know, if you're a content creator, I bet game crashing is the worst. Similarly to with people that are doing speed runs, because you know, a speedrunner's never doing a speed run and not filming it. Mm-hmm. You know, they gotta capture that. So so it's a unique characteristic of gaming. You know, you're not gonna watch a Hollywood movie, a full bore Hollywood production, and it crashes on you and then reboots.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. If you're at the theater and the projector shuts down, like you're probably gonna leave. Like you know, you might give them 5 minutes to get that sorted, or 15 maybe, but you're not gonna. And it crashes again. Like you're gonna be like, I want my money back. Like
yeah. So and hence that's why that never happens.
Yeah, it's unacceptable.
Like, you know what I wonder now that I'm thinking about it, because at this point I must have sent 100 accept and report gray screen things. You know, when they ask you, do you want to report this? And you just put yes, accept and report, and it just goes off, and then that's it. You start the game over, reboot it. I must have sent in the last month, I don't know how many, maybe 100 of those damn things.
I would say.
And I'm just wondering if there's anyone on the other line of PlayStation over there going, you know what? This Arc game has a real tick up in crashes. Maybe we should have a discussion with these folks at Wildcard. And hell, we might as well have a discussion with all of these folks with all of these damn games that are crashing all the time, because those reports are going somewhere. Mm-hmm. And it's that bad, man. It's that bad. Like, the only reason I'm even playing Arc at this point is because of the fact of what you said, is that it is that good of a game for people that like that kind of a game. It's that good that I'll tolerate knowing that it's gonna crash on me. Like at this point, it's that bad that it's like, all right, I'm gonna play Arc, and my mind's already fully aware and accepted of the fact that and it's gonna crash on me at the very least. I mean, sure, certainly at the very least once, but probably I could go on to average out like at the very least 2 or 3 times now. It's bad.
Yeah. I know this is probably enough for an episode in and of itself, and we didn't prepare for this, so it's putting you on the spot a little bit. But one thing is, like, what can we do about this other than send those reports in?
With Arc, nothing, because, you know, I don't know how in the loop you are on the Arc news, but I'm not exactly like in the loop myself, but I have been following it a bit. But the future of Arc is on shaky ground, so I'm not sure that I'm necessarily concerned with doing anything, because I don't see the future of Arc as being a very bright one. In fact, the Arc playing that we've been doing, for me, has all just been like, I want to get the most out of this while it still exists. Mm-hmm. That's actually a huge factor in it. But if I was to think, if you were asking me that in a general broad sense of with all video games, what could we do about it? Like us? Talk shit on the internet?
Well, you know, I think.
Hey, PlayStation. Hey, Bethesda. Hey, DICE. Hey, EA. Get your shit together, huh?
Yeah.
Fucking get your shit together.
Yeah, I'm
That's
a
all we can
podcaster.
do.
Don't make me turn my legion of fans against you.
Yeah. Don't make me take my 22 fans.
I'm a
My
luminary.
dedicated subs. We'll pull up.
Influencing away. Well,
No, I don't
there
know,
are
man.
some
We'd have to
practical
become-
things like we could
Become developers and create our own games.
make sure our console's up to date. I would imagine, system software up to date. I would say like uninstalling the game and reinstalling it is probably something we could do. Yeah, outside of that, I mean, it's a.
Oh, I mean, like, yeah. I mean, on the individual gamer level, I think it's important to apply best practices. I love to say that, best practices, i.e., yeah, updating your software, keeping your equipment clean within reason. We're not all like opening up our shit and hitting it with the proper equipment to do a deep cleaning of our console, even though that is recommended every so many years. I think you could do that. I never do that. I don't have, I just keep it well dusted, keep it clean, keep my controllers clean. I'm always like, I don't play with greasy fingers and all that stuff. You know me, Chuck. I'm a little OCD. No, dude, get that shit away from my electronics. I'm very anal retentive about all that stuff.
That's right.
Yeah, so there's definitely best practices. What else? That's really all you can do, man. Just like you said, and this is another factor. Like when we were talking about Myth 2, that was a 90s game. So back then, that game came. Remember when we were talking about how games back in the day came in huge boxes?
Yeah.
And inside it was just, there's like a little
Box
CD in
art,
there.
yeah.
Like, what in the hell is this little CD in this massive box? So yeah, Myth 2 probably came in one of those massive boxes, but inside it was a CD. And they weren't sending out patches back then. There wasn't a Steam cloud or like a PlayStation Network cloud where all of your games were in this like ether, No, they were on a CD or a cassette, CD afterward. And that's where all of that stuff was. It was on there. So,
Yeah.
that's a factor too. That was a computer destroying glitch that Myth 2 had. But nowadays we have patches and stuff. We have developers that are connected to the game even after they've published the game, and they have access to means to fix things. So
boy, that probably increased that acceptable level of volatility, as I sort of phrased it there earlier. That they know they can.
Does it increase it or does it decrease it?
I would say they accept that this could go bad because we'll just fix it if it doesn't. But if like in the first example of like an arcade cabinet, if you've put that motherboard in there and put the the screws back in, it's kind of hard to access. And
That's it. It needs to be reliable.
Yeah, and in your example with the CD, yeah, that ship sailed. I mean, back in those days, I guess you could mail everybody
back
a
with Myth
CD
2,
or something.
Yeah, no, they did. Like with Myth 2, what they did was the people that got screwed would send the CD back, and then they'd send back this. They sent out a new one called Disc 1.1 instead of 1.0, just 1.1, and then they sent that out with the fix, and then they basically just told people, look, if you haven't uninstalled the game yet, don't uninstall it. Just put it in the recycling bin and leave it at that. Because if you uninstall it through the uninstalled drive, it would erase the C drive or whatever root drive you put it on. And that's kind of the thing, like with these clouds these days, like Steam, PlayStation Network, Game Pass, etc., so on and so on, is that the whole install uninstall dynamic of games is completely different these days. Before, like there was no downloading it from Steam and then installing it, and it's all just a simple click. Like before, you had to like take the game out of the box and open up the booklet and go into the install instructions. Step 1, click here and blah. Like it was. I remember these days, man. And that was one of the things that turned me off of PC gaming versus console gaming in the early 90s, is like there was some real like labor going into installing a PC game back in the day. Like it took some work and some technical knowledge. And then with a Nintendo, freaking just plop that little gray thing up, blow on the cartridge unnecessarily, stick it in there, click the start button or power, and then all of a sudden you had Mario popping up. Bleep, 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 bleep. And it's like, man, let's go. Well, screw the PC. Tables have turned these days, but I think that's a factor too, is back then we weren't downloading off Steam,
Yeah.
uninstalling off Steam, installing off Steam. It's just a completely different world, man. With PC, I've had plenty of PC crashes playing all kinds of games. I play Ark on PC, it would crash plenty of times. EVE Online, pretty consistent. Never had too much crashes with EVE Online. But, playing Rust, lots of survival games, a little bit of Warzone, it'd crash on me from time to time on the PC. Just because, again, I think there's just so much more going on.
The PC, to me, always feels like it's on borrowed time. It's like if I'm not actively playing that game and keeping the drivers updated and the graphics card settings optimized and everything, and I go back to that after about 6 months of not playing, like I know that thing ain't gonna work. Like it just seems like it's like as long as I've been constantly tending it, like it's fine. Like it reminds me of that analogy of flying a spaceship that can hold 500 canaries, but you put like 1,000 on there, and you just have to keep half of them flying, part of the time.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
That's the way.
That's a good point. Yeah, you walk away from a PC for a month, dude. Yeah, that's true. Because I'll walk away from the PC game for a month, and then or I'll want to edit a video on DaVinci or something, and I'll have to update a bunch of shit.
Oh yeah.
Just to get it back on track, and even when we record these podcasts, there's an extra 15, 20 minutes put into checking updates and making sure that everything's running smoothly.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it'll make you update everything, including your attitude.
Update the shit out of that stuff.
You thought you were going to knock this out real quick? Not today, buddy.
Ark updated my attitude the other day pretty damn quickly. Updated it real quick. Fuck this guy! There I was next morning. All right, let me get some Rexes going.
Yeah, it's a good game, man. It's worth it. And I wonder, let me ask you this. Do you think the complexity of a game makes it more likely to crash?
Oh, yeah. I think that's a factor.
Yeah, you got to think there's a lot of things going on there in Ark, that have to balance. And yeah,
with a lot of games.
Yeah.
There's a lot, yeah. I mean, and there's a lot of games coming out that it'll be interesting to see if they run smoothly without crashing, or what their crash percentage is. And, there's other things too that go beyond crashes that we haven't even talked about, like frame rate drops, tearing, loading times. Even on these new systems, loading got cut in half, that's for sure, but there still are loading times. So, we've got crashes, but we've also got this other category of complexities that are only going to be, I think it's going to be interesting to see how they develop, because the games are just getting more and more deep, graphical, realistic, complex, like Starfield, man. I don't know if you've seen much about Starfield, heard much about Starfield, but man, oh man, I think that's going to be an interesting one to watch and see how it does, especially because of the developers being Bethesda.
Do you feel like we can put any onus on the player for this? And what I mean by that is I feel like there's the ways that they have to make the game, because they know if there's any way something can be exploited, it will be exploited. And you have in-game economies in a lot of these larger games and things that it matters, if it's exploited. Like I think about that sometimes when I see this duping, for example, that's going on. It's just like, come on, kids, just play the game. Like I never sit down to play a game of chess and think I think I'm just going to move my bishop the way the way the queen does this time.
However the hell I want.
This is not right. It's like I want to keep the integrity of the game.
No, I don't think play styles have an impact on game crashing. No, I think there are things that you can do that will crash the game, but I think if that's the case, just being able to play the game will steer you away from doing that thing. And that's not a black and white situation. I'm sure there's plenty of people that exploit the game that will get a crash here and there that will continue to exploit it just to continue their play style, good or bad. But I think that is going to be a fact that's factored in there, but I think that's probably a small percentage of the cases. Because just look at our examples. We were never doing anything that was exploitative in any way. And, I mean, we're literally like, in not to go back to ARC again, but we're just trying to transfer maps here.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, I was just trying to turn the damn game off.
Yeah, it crashed.
Listen to that, listeners. Like I wasn't even trying to do anything except leave the game. And when I leave a video game, I'm of the few weirdos, like the rare percentage of weirdos that actually like goes to quit game and does the whole formal process of leaving a game. I don't just hit like power off. No, I'll go to the menu and hit quit and then go to, I do all of those steps. So, I was trying to properly quit the game, exit to menu, and when I hit exit to menu, it just went gray screen. It's like, on your way, Ovox. Get the fuck out of here. Crashing. I don't want games to crash. Crash, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Gave me a final one on the way out. Take this.
God, that used to trigger my OCD. I would worry that, man, it just didn't save properly. I got to log back in and make sure everything's okay.
Yeah.
No, I just let it go. I let it go in there. I just think it's going to be all right. But,
yeah. Well, anyways, so those are our frustrations. We just wanted to get them out, everyone. But hey, let us know what your gaming frustrations and crashes are. What game has caused you the most crashing grief? And yeah, hit us up. Let us know. We're on the. You can hit us up on Facebook. You can send us an email, drop a comment or a review on any of the podcast apps. Let us know, and we'll read it out here on the pod and shout you out. You got anything else, Chuck? I don't want to cut this one short, man, but I actually gotta meet some humans up here at 12 o'clock.
Probably about it. Yeah, just hope everybody has a good couple weeks, and hope your games don't crash on you, and your boss fights go swell.
Yeah, well, we hope you can actually make it into the arena.
Yeah.
We hope you can make it to wherever you need to make it in your video game without getting crashed, without getting gray screened, without getting timed out, whatever it may be. But yeah, let us know what we missed. I didn't want to cut this one short, but I got some commitments coming up, and we might just do a part 2 on this because there's plenty of gaming crash stuff out there.
Yeah, I'd love for people to share, how to fix it. Maybe maybe we could do an episode at some point about, just good practices.
Like hacks, gaming hacks.
Yeah.
Hacks, tips, and tricks.
Little backdoor fixes there or something like that.
Yeah.
Hold your mouth right.
Oh, I can already hear you. I can already see him now. You see what we do here in Tennessee?
Yeah. We'll put a dip of skull in before you start the boss fight there.
Yeah, just put it in right next to the console. And
if you did something once and it worked, you'd think it needed to be done every time. Like, I rubbed this bobblehead and then pray to the art gods.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, no. It produced this episode, and hopefully that helps the people vent their frustrations too. And
let Venom out, get him out, so we can just keep gaming. One last thing, we were thinking about putting more episodes out, not necessarily every week, but not every weekend, but every weekend that we can. Because honestly, listeners, there are a couple of weekends every now and then where, I don't know, I think we both could fit in an extra episode. So we're going to try and get more awesome content out to you guys. And that's just been something that we've been kind of chit-chatting about. And it looks like we might give that a shot. Because why the hell not, right? There's plenty of gaming topics out there to have some laughs around.
Yeah.
Anything else, Chuck?
That's about it. Let's get it.
That's all I got, too. Awesome. Love you, man. Thanks, everyone.